All right, beautiful people. Good afternoon, good evening. It doesn't matter what time it is. Just know today is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. As always, God is good. He's good all the time. Duh. I'm trying to make sure that I have everything squared away. And it looks like I do. Okay. This I didn't get this to record, but I guess I'll start recording now just in case I have any issues. But y'all can see from the title, man. This is just a reaction to a video that I had came across today. I was scrolling on the YouTube as usual, and I dib a dabble in a lot of things. I'm one of those people that they refer to as a jack of all trades, but a master of none. Because my hands is involved in a lot. I mean, you could kind of see from the background. It's a bit cluttered in here, but this is my office slash workspace, and so I do a lot of tinkering. Where I like build. I mean, I can show you right here if you give me a second. I don't want to mess up what I got going on. But like right here, I'm building a retro game console using an old Game Boy. A literal, like, this is the original Game Boy. I busted down, painted, and all this wonderful jazz. Installed all this beautiful, machinery you see back here. Not trying to mess with the wires too much. You see that all that? They got the Raspberry Pi here. Got the actual control board here. Got the power and all that. I literally dibble dabble a lot. I sew, make clothes, customize apparel, shoes. I draw. Getting into painting. Y'all probably seen from past videos that I've even recently got into like construction type skill set. It basically anything revolving around renovations. I've familiarized myself with electrical, plumbing. You know what I'm saying? Um, Installing little blocks. I literally installed my in-ground basketball hoop in the back. So I'm a busy person. I like to do a lot on top of the fact that God has made me a person that just desires knowledge. So I'm constantly seeking out. So I'm always on YouTube, whether I'm, looking for something to pass the time, something to relax. It's something that I ain't got to really think too much. And so I get into the basketball community. Don't really have to use mental power in the sense of like my education, my educational background is more so in social sciences, criminal justice matters. And when you look at data set the way that I have and without, when it's a part of like your career in education, it becomes a bit overwhelming and you need a break, man. You need a break at some point. You need to just fall back. And so, yeah, that's where I'm at. Um, I just saw that I had a little flag, a little warning, but well, I'll look at that later. Like I said, if this video gets tampered with, at least I'm recording it so I could post it later. I do apologize for the lighting. I am the type that is more dependent on natural lighting. I have a bunch of windows in this room, and it's getting dark, and it's not. I have a historical house, so we don't have light fixtures installed the way that you would think. Like we have light fixtures that mostly depend on either lamps or something like that, or like a little push a button. It's weird. We updating, bear with me. But I done held y'all for 3 minutes just chit chatting and stuff. So while I got y'all here, because I'm gonna disappear and I'm gonna tend to my poochies and whatnot. I got all my hair stuff. I got my aloe vera goo. I got my black walnut water. And then I got my deep conditioning mask, moisturizing avocado concoction. And what I'm gonna do is, as I watch this video and react to it, I'm also going to take out my 2-strand twist, detangle my hair, and get me right. So, because I got a hair appointment in a couple of weeks, I am getting some knotless braids and I'm adding weave. And, you got to put yourself through a lot of TLC if you're going to be straining your head like that with all that weave. So, without further ado, I don't want to waste no more of your time as I have already done so. So, let's get into it.
The one stuff, things pop up on like our timelines now with like the YouTube algorithm. So if I watch anything that's in like the 1v1 space, I'm just like constantly fed things, whether it's like the 1v1 hoops account or the 1v1 highlights account. Like everything kind of pops up once you start getting into that like space. So that's how things kind of popped up. So I'd like check out some of your videos. Like, believe it or not, I check out like a lot of people's stuff just to see what's going on and what people are kind of into in the space. And yeah, I saw it and I was like, oh, like I like this guy's take on things. He's a bit more like an adult about things too, as opposed to trying to get clicks and views. Yeah. Right. Because that's the way we are with even when we first started Ball is Life. There's been times where I've personally filmed games where there's like a lot of commotion going on. There's been like full on fights going on and you've never seen the footage because I would never put it back. Because I'm just like, it's kids, they're dumb, like they're going to do stupid shit. And it's not my job to like police them or parent them through video, which could be much worse for them.
Yeah. And I think that's super important. Like you start becoming you don't want to become the content. So I'm always trying to be aware of that. And it's like, there's definitely some content I could put out that's going to get views, but like you don't want to start being run by the algorithm. You kind of want to be able to dictate which way your community goes. So I think that's super important. I think you guys have done a really good job. I guess first I kind of wanted to just ask, like, I don't know, how'd you guys get involved with the one-on-one space? This is something that like I just got super attached to it when I just came back from overseas, because it's like we didn't have this when I was younger. And I wish this is something that we
My
had.
apologies.
This would have been like right up my alley. And it's also just like another avenue.
If you see me disappear for a second, it look like I'm going silent. I'm doing my hair.
You don't really have much in America for those high level players to go do something else. I think this is awesome. How'd you get started in it?
Well, first I'll go back a little bit on the history of 1v1 as like I've seen it since I've been around basketball for so long. So like I want to say it was like maybe late 2000s or like 11, 12, 13 when Red Bull did King of the Rock. So they used to have literally a 1v1 event where like the finals were at Alcatraz, which was pretty crazy. Yeah. And they didn't do it during the day at Alcatraz. They waited for like the fog to come in to make it look more dramatic. And it's like cold out there too. So like that was one of like my first like insertions into 1v1. We didn't really cover it too much. It wasn't like too big. I think it was like definitely ahead of its time. And I've even spoken to the guy that's at Red Bull about it. And he's like, oh yeah, we used to do King of the Rock. And I was like super familiar with it. But then we started getting into like the 5-on-5 street ball type stuff.
I think that's when I first started seeing y'all's stuff.
Yeah. So we started doing those events with a group called Caffeine TV, which is now like no longer really around. But their main thing was like live broadcasting. They were trying to become like the sports version of like a Twitch, basically, for everything live. So we were a part of them, and they're like, oh, we want to do additional programming other than just like 5v5. What else could we do? So we kind of together came up with the King of the Court live broadcast thing. Like King of the Court, obviously, if you play basketball, it's been around forever. Yeah. But it was like a cool way to bring in like multiple contestants, create like a contest out of it, and then they win money. And they could keep like upping their money on like how many they kept winning, which was like the initial goal of the first season. So that was kind of the first foray into us having more of like a 1v1 style component to what we were doing. But at the same time, like we couldn't be like silent about the fact that Dev did that 1v1 against Devontae Friga. That was like the first pay-per-view that for 1v1 that was like really, really successful. Regardless of like the issues that went on with it, it seemed like the customer or fan base was like really supportive of 1v1. So like that definitely caught our eye and caught our attention at the time. So like we naturally, things kind of fizzled out on the 5v5 stuff. It just, as a business, it got really expensive for us to do. So it's like, oh, what's like the next iteration of what we could do? King of the Court stuff was doing really well for us when we would repost it on YouTube. We're like, we got to do something around 1v1 then. Like it's definitely like a lower lift at the time. You don't have as many athletes.
One thing I can say is that I vividly remember the transition of how like everyone came into space. Now, of course, I don't know the behind the scenes information, as to what led them where, but at least from the aspect of seeing it, like I've been watching the YouTube basketball space when it was just straight trash. It was like mostly creator, what is it? The little creator league thing where they be having like the Cam Wilders and the Nick Brizzes and the Carlos, the little spaz out kid that people used to make fun of, but they said he had like mental illnesses and stuff. But that's when the people that was like more entertainment based, not so much like skill, like they would even get Chris White out there because it was entertainment based, not so much skill. Like the closest person they had to skill on there was, for the longest, was Devontae Friga. And that's not really saying much because when I think of content basketball, like I think of Devontae Friga. Like he's not, I am more than confident that I can whoop this dude. Like, of course, you leave a shooter, you give a shooter, you leave them open, they're going to make buckets. But I really feel like beating Devontae Friga doesn't take much for the average person who knows a little something about basketball and got somewhat, athleticism. Like, you ain't even have to have the greatest, As long as you're a little stronger than him and maybe a little faster, I feel like you're all right. But, and it's no shade. It's just I don't look at him as like how I look at like Uncle Scoob or how I look at like Mad Dog Bruce or motherfucking Trey Croft. Like I really find them like as skilled hoopers. I look at Devontae Friga more like the Jay with the Rock dude, Joshua, where it's obvious nigga is trash. Like coming up, he didn't have no basketball experience. But this is an avenue where a lot of people can get paid and you don't really have to be like, you don't have to have all these, accolades and whatnot. So I think that benefits the average, consumer and person, because then you're like, I don't want to work a regular 9 to 5 job for the rest of my life. So I'm going to get into this YouTube basketball space. So there's nothing wrong with it. I remember seeing it when Devontae Friga and the rest of them was chasing fives. Like, I even remember when I was like, I thought it was crazy because I was always telling Scoob, like, it's crazy that none of these bigger platforms, and at the time it was just Devontae Friga and Ball is Life, really, and then kind of like Dev in the lab, he had his stuff going, but nobody really paid attention to him until he, like, collabed with other people. At least, I feel like he had like a set audience, niche audience. It's mostly like them anime sports turds, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so for the most part, like the 1v1 space, I've always seen the 1v1s amongst people like Terry Hosley. I've seen them amongst Uncle Scoob, and there's several other names who are like evading me at the moment because obviously like they're not big, like off the dribble and the rest of them, on top of the fact that I don't even think they post as often as or frequent as they used to. And if they do, the algorithm is not pushing their content like that. But I think it's crazy when a lot of people like to push this pioneer speech, and it's false because according to the Bible, ain't nothing new under the sun. Ideas come to all of us like spirits. You know what I'm saying? You either entertain it or you dismiss it. You leave it alone. And if you entertain it, then yeah, you participate in it. If I motherfucking turn to prostitution, you know what I'm saying? And I motherfucking, and now I'm selling butt and like in church, but I got like some drive-through set up going. I can't be like, I'm the pioneer to this. I'm pretty sure people have been selling butt out the church for a while. God forgive me for using that analogy. But still, you see what I'm saying? Like, so it's just like, no, bro. No. On top of the fact that I don't think it's fair to say you're the pioneer when you're competing. People are competing with algorithms. People are competing with Like, there's people that has been posting just as long as Devin the Lab has. They just haven't got the traction that Devin the Lab has. You see what I'm saying? There's people who have been posting 1v1s on the YouTube, but the YouTube has changed so tremendously that you actively have to seek out past videos, because even like just typing in a direct search don't always bring you up to the direct video you looking at. And I don't want to drag this out longer than I need be, because I'm only going to watch about 30 minutes of this. But I just wanted to say that it's like the pioneers speak is stupid. And I think some of them is trying to, because the 1v1 space is setting off at a exponential like rate that it is that now it's like, it's what liars do, you know? They try to be the first one to get their words out so that way it seems true. And then over time, the lies get discredited and they get exposed as what they are. And so I think it's crazy that so many people are trying to be the first ones to be like, yeah, back in my day, I was doing this, I was doing that. When it's evident that Baller's Life was just trying to stay relevant. They weren't in my opinion, they weren't no sought after platform like that. Like, it was just one of them. They realized they were dying down when they had that East Coast squad, West Coast squad nonsense. It was dying down, where Uncle Scoob, Terry Hosley, and oh my gosh, this is what I get for smoking a blunt immediately before doing this. But the several other freaking content creators, they had posted their 1v1 scenes, and people was just saying like, yo, you should link up with so-and-so. You should link up with so-and-so. And I know a lot of these people aren't going to vocalize whether or not that in the past that they have tried reaching out to these people, because at the end of the day, especially if it's like, oh, I tried reaching out to these people and they just wasn't listening to me. Now you sound like a crybaby, and then now you run the risk of, you see what I'm saying, causing friction, and then it making people feel some type of way, because, you know, niggas get sensitive and they act like they got sand in their vaginas, right? And they start whining, and they're like, well, I can't bring you onto my platform because you said something disparaging about me, or you were critical about me. Which, I mean, talking about somebody disparaging, I could, okay. But it's life. Like, people are going to have opinions of you. Opinions are going to oppose yours. And at the end of the day, everybody don't think you're that great, beautiful, you know, outstanding individual that you think you are. So at the end of the day, we got to just accept that fact. But I'm going to shut up now and just go.
And it's, the fans love it.
Yeah, and when you just brought up that 1v1, the thing with Frigga and Dev, and I think that's something, as soon as you said it, I was like, why did I like it? And it's not just that it was basketball, but it's like, I think there's a storytelling aspect that happens with these things in the build-up. I think that's what a lot of people kind of miss out on. Like, people, they didn't just turn in for a 1v1. They tuned in because it's like, what's going to happen at this 1v1? And
Dev and Frigga, to be fair, were already established names. So when you got people like Terry Hosley, 1v1, what's the dude's name? Is it Drew? Oh, damn, I done forgot the nigga's name. But he had all the 1v1s in the past. Niggas ain't flocking to him because they weren't big staple names. And on top of the fact that people love to dismiss colorism and racism and everything that pertains to that. But at the end of the day, this stuff didn't just disappear. Like, the algorithms are set intentionally and created by people who have certain views. So if I create a software with the views that I have, whether if I don't like freaking people that don't keep their toes properly groomed, because that is very disgusting. So say if I was just so prejudiced towards people who did not keep their toes properly groomed, and I create an algorithm, guess what the freak I'm gonna put into my algorithm? Anything that can mother freaking wash away you ugly toed Negroes. Okay, excuse me. You ugly-toed niggas, because Negroes pertain to black people, and all y'all that's tuning in are black. But I'm gonna eliminate y'all. So at the end of the day, that's what it's gonna be. If I'm gravitating to this certain audience, so many people are gonna get overlooked. It's the same thing in the basketball space. Just recently, TNC brought in a female, and the female, her name is Dom, I think, and she played another female. Her name is Morgan. Don't know their last names. Dom and Morgan. Dom apparently have been reaching out to TNC, and Scott said it himself in the middle of the little preface interview thing. He said, like, yeah, you've been reaching out to us for a while, and we finally, got back to you and set something up. Y'all may overlook it, but the basketball space, sports in general, has a large female population that just goes unnoticed. For the longest, I've been trying to reach out to people and say, like, hey, yo, I'll compete. Like, if y'all can't even find females to compete, bro, give me a dude that don't mind playing up against a female. Like, I will compete. But what have I been met with? Misogynistic disdain for women. I got people talking about, don't nobody want to see that. Women could 1v1 them each other, but don't nobody want to see a man versus a woman. And then it's not even that many, you know what I'm saying? It's not that many matches, and I'm pretty sure there's women reaching out. You see? But I'm just shut up. Let's go.
Frigga's got his own content. Dev obviously have been making content forever.
Yeah, girl.
I feel like there's so much more
A dog
going
trying to
on
sneak
even
out.
with that
A dog trying to sneak out of the room.
than like the audience sees, and I think that's super important. So on that, with like the storytelling, people weren't watching just to watch one-on-one, but it's like it's intriguing because there's like a little story there's a little build-up. But at the same time, this compounds that. I've played in tons of one-on-one tournaments, 3-on-3 tournaments, like tons of street ball stuff throughout my career. And one of the things that always really frustrated me is it's very rarely like player driven. So it's usually done with the company in mind first, like they have something they want to do. And it's just like, oh yeah, let's get all these players there. They're like, the fans sit here, the fans the cameras here. They think about all the parts of it. And then I come in as a player and I'm like, wait, where are we supposed to like get ready? And it's like, oh, just over there back there in the corner by the gate, the see-through gate that everyone's walking through. And I remember the amount of times I was just like, yeah, it was fun, but what am I getting out of this other than if I win, I get a trophy? And one thing I've really liked watching these one-on-ones over the past like 3 months or whatever that I've been doing this, I've really fallen in love with how it's very, very player focused and it's very player led. And that's another aspect where we'll get to the pay-per-view thing later, but I think I noticed it straight away of like, man, this is such a good vehicle for these players, for these individual players. And I think you guys as a company and all the one-on-one companies, I think that's something that almost kind of needs to be championed a little bit of like, yes, you guys, you're trying to build content, you're trying to get views, like obviously that's the case, all of us are, but there's more there. And it's like you guys are like a vehicle for players to make careers out of basketball. You're a vehicle to connect fans with one-on-one players they didn't know they wanted to watch. So Frigga and Dev in the lab, I didn't know I wanted to watch those guys play one-on-one until I saw it. And it's like, oh, I wanted to see that. And now I'm starting to become fans of all these other players as well. Is that something that you guys consciously try to do?
Before he goes any further, and he goes to answer that question, I would like to say that, to be fair, Corey, Mr. Midrange, because this nigga looked about 40-something years old. He looked to be about my brother's age, and my brother got me by 10 years. So, honestly, he might be closer to my mama's age, all right? She late 40s, early 50s. But that's not the hell of that. He's a late bloomer. He's late to this party. So, of course, on outside looking in now is going to look like Ball is Life and the rest of these platforms are player oriented. But you have to remember, when these jokers first came out, they were not player oriented. I mean, in fact, I am literally to this day blocked by, I call him Milk White, but it's Chris White, the big white dude. And I'm blocked by Brandon Ellis, B. Ellis. The nigga, he's the 1/3 from the commentators on TNC. And I'm blocked because of the fact that I have been so vocal about the exploitation of the basketball players. Like, you can scroll back and look at my past videos and whatnot, and you will see that this is what it's hitting for, is that I vocalized that these people, they weren't player oriented. They weren't player oriented to the extent that, like, even to this day, many players, like actors, like singers, artists, period, they're not going to vocalize the turmoil and the demise that they've endured at the hands of these organizations, these entities that they expect to later come seek them for employment and give them some pay. Right? We seen it recently with Rob where he had a complaint, right? He was getting all emotional on his Instagram, and he has every right to. And then he was like, yo, anybody trying to play, hit my lineup. Like, it was on some, it was just like, man, F this. I want some real competition, blah, 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 blah. And you could tell, like, they're not going to vocalize these things because at the end of the day, that's how they program you. It's like that when you work a regular business. I served in the Marine Corps. And it's like that even in the Marine Corps, is that when you are with them, like, and you employ with them, you have to put up with their garbage. And you can't say nothing about it. You can't draw attention to it. And if you draw attention to it, they'll make your life a living hell. And then when they get done making your life a living hell, they ensure that you are in nowhere near fit to come back to them. Right? And so this is why people like me have vocalized about the exploitation of these players, because this has been the case. Now it has changed because over time people have vocalized it, including the players, of the exploitation and them working them like mules so they can make profit off of these players who are the bulk of the, what's bringing in the streams of revenue that they got going in. But we're going to let them finish. But this is why it looks this way to you, Corey. It's because you're new to the scene. And you are seeing it after people like me have vocalized so much to the point where now I'm blocked or now I'm blacklisted. So it's to a point where, nobody hears what she says because this girl, we don't need her causing problems for us. She could probably encourage somebody to sue us. But let's continue.
Or is it just something that like you've lucked into? Because I feel like that message doesn't really get across to the fans.
Oh yeah,
like
it's
y'all rolling.
Big time we do. I mean, there was a point where we almost were going to play against the In the Lab team with our West Coast squad team. It was really close. Me and Dev were kind of going back and forth, and we both like to talk a lot of shit to each other, and it seemed good.
But I do want to say that 5v5 scene washed the freak up when Scoob and Terry and them started getting more traction and the 1v1 scene started blowing up, and then they even started seeing for themselves in the midst of the 5v5 scenes, because Scotty even said it himself that when they would go and have their little 5v5 park runs with the onset of TNC, they noticed how many people were sticking around afterwards to 1v1 Moon. This is black culture, man. This is hood culture. You Diddy folk, you motherfucking shelter niggas, y'all don't know nothing about this because there ain't no culture out there. At least nothing that people seek after. You know what I'm saying? It's not prized motherfucking culture, but it's something. But, and forgive me for yelling all into the microphone, y'all, but come on, the proof is in the pudding.
Good faith. Like we're actually totally cool with each other. We kind of grew up in the basketball scene at the same time, obviously in different respects, and more on the training side, and us more on like the media side. But we've worked with each other actually a bit over the years, and he and I are both very big time boxing fans. I don't know if you watch boxing at all, but like coming up, there's a series that HBO used to do before they stopped doing boxing pay-per-views. It was called 247. And then Showtime did another series that I think it was called All Access. And what they would do is they would follow, and it was only done on like the bigger fights. So they would follow both athletes during the process of leading up to that fight, whether it was at press conferences, training, what food they were eating, what their family life was like, were they staying away from family while they were training, where they were training at, like all of that stuff was kind of followed. So you really got to get to know the athlete behind the match instead of just seeing them show up on that day and fight each other. And we both kind of took from it. Like I think he even said it in a podcast that we shot with Frank and him.
Yep.
Like he loves like the whole aspect of being able to tell the story of who the people are behind it. Because just like in boxing with 1v1 is like, what makes it so exciting is you have nobody to pass the ball to. You got to play offense and defense. There's no coaches. If you didn't put in the work on this in between things, like you're in a bad spot. So it's definitely a different vibe than regular 5v5 basketball, where if you're a jump shooter, you can make a good living just being a jump shooter or a spot up
Yep.
shooter.
Yep.
Versus like in this, there is none of that. Like you got to be able to play inside and out. So I think that's naturally what gives it like an amazing appeal. I think to the fans, it's definitely a lot more physical. And then the other thing we like to take into account, some of the stuff you kind of went over as far as like where people sit and stuff like that, is like we want to make sure that like the athlete is able to feed off the fans and the fans
Yep.
are able to feed off the athlete. Like sometimes you're going to see like people rushing the court and everything, and many times we're going to get like hate for like, oh, you guys should have did this. Like we literally had like a full police team in DC, and these
Yeah,
fans
I
like
saw that.
they did not care. Like they did not
Yeah.
care, and these were like legitimately for that like area and in that school that we had to use, and like they didn't care. They were going to run on the court and do whatever they wanted to do regardless. And then there was like the whole like towel situation. We had like 20 towels, but like it was so hot and humid in DC at that time that it didn't matter. Like
Yeah.
it just wasn't working out. But like, yeah, I think all of those things kind of add to the dramatic flair of 1v1. Like, can some of that like change over time? Sure. But I think it just, there's so many variables that go on with it that are just like kind of cool at the same time.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. One thing I like about it as a player, and again, I've played in a lot of like these sort of tournaments and just go into these one-on-one events and things. And one thing I always felt is like I'm putting myself out there, and like my reputation's on the line, and like I could have a bad day and lose, and everyone's gonna just think I suck now. And so when I watch these players put themselves out there, I actually like it makes me respect them more as players.
Mhm.
And again, I think that's something like the typical fan probably doesn't understand. They're just like, oh, just go play. It's not a big deal. And that one of the videos that I reviewed kind of said that like these are just basketball players. They can play every day. But you know, some of those guys, like you look at a Rob, you look at a Nas, like Zay, like they're putting their reputations on the line now. These are their careers. So I guess with that, like, where do you see the future of this growing? Like growing bigger? Has it capped off? Like, because for me, I'm like someone like a Nas. It's like he does big three stuff. You know, he's got kind of his own content, but the actual value he brings to the basketball space is like massive. It's like it's huge, but he's probably everyone. You know, people are being like, yeah, these guys are making a lot of money, but I'm like, man, what they're bringing to the space, they're probably not making enough money. And not saying that's from the your company or any company, but it's just like, how do we? Where's the future of this go? Like, how do these players extract more with also?
So, to be fair, with Rob Zay, maybe not so much Nas, but and I'm maybe not so much Rob either, but at least Zay. I'm not too familiar with Rob except for the fact that I know that he started out early with TNC. Like they just play him a lot. I don't know where the freak they pulled this dude from, where they found him, none of that stuff. But at least what I can say with like the likes of like Scoob, Uncle Scoob, um, and currently Nas, and even Zay, right, and even Bruce, right, like they are their own marketing team. Like they promote themselves, they build themselves, and at least with Uncle Scoob, like it came a little later with Nas, and it exists now with Nas, which I do believe like after Uncle Scoob took him under his wing and kind of, you know, took him along the street tours and the free smoke tours and, you know, with their shared relationship, he probably gave him some game on how to conduct his business. So he does it like that now. But I remember firsthand, like the only person that had their own, not just person, but player that had their own, excuse me, YouTube channel, and not even just YouTube channel, but their own platform and was building themselves alongside is Uncle Scoob. Like I still remember 3 years ago when B. Ellis was begging to be put onto TNC as a commentator just about every reaction that he made in his videos. You know, he would even tell them like, hey, you guys, y'all players, and he was mostly talking about like the ISO Tay, the Day Days, and the Cams, like the reoccurring faces, and was telling them like basically, hey, you should build your own YouTube channel and get your own stuff out there because you're marketing yourself, right? And then when you look at Uncle Scoop had that. Uncle Scoop had his own website. He was selling his own merch, and that was before Uncle Scoop was big. Most people don't start selling merch and stuff until they get somewhere. Like he was selling merch when dude still had like tens of thousands of people. I still got one of his first separate yourself black and white hoodies, and I love it. The thing is so mother freaking thick, especially because I live in New York and it's cold here. So, but yeah, he was selling his own merch. He had his own website. He used his social media platforms to make it work for himself. So he was literally marketing and promoting himself. A lot of them wasn't doing that. And I do believe that they saw what others were doing that weren't so big and started pushing and doing what they were doing and made it seem like, I did this on my own, when they found inspiration from the guys that didn't have such a large following at the time. You see what I'm saying?
So keeping the fans in mind of like, it can't constantly keep coming, directly from the fans. Like, where do you see the future of it going?
I mean, it depends on like how much attention it draws from people that are bigger than us. Because one thing I'll say before I even lead into it is many times people think Ball is Life is like this big corporation. Like, we're not. We have here locally, we're based in Southern California. We have like 15 employees that work for us. And then around the country, we probably have like another 10 to 15 people that work with us as contractors every now and then. And then the athletes we work with as well on like a contract basis. So like our team is still relatively small when you think about it. I think once it starts drawing bigger attention, and especially when brands and sponsors start to stop seeing it as experimental and something that's real, I think that's when it can kind of take off and become bigger. Because for me, like even when I first started Ball is Life, it was always about like covering every aspect of basketball. And that's what we've always done, from like dunking to street ball to 1v1 to high school to college to the lockout games back in the day in 2011, 2012. Like all that stuff, we've always covered everything. This one is a little bit different because it's really a chance to build something that I think really needs like a league. It needs like a professional league. And I think there's even an argument for it to potentially be an Olympic sport because of the fact that, like,
I do want to add that I remember being very critical of Baller's Life early on, because when the 5v5 like park runs was still booming, and then they started, and when I say they, I'm talking about the 5v5 park run people. They started building teams because he didn't go all the way back in history as he should have, right? When Baller's Life decided to create Baller's Life East Coast Squad, Baller's Life West Coast Squad, Baller's Life like Midwest Squad, Baller's Life, you know what I'm saying? All these different types of variations of Baller's Life groups, right? When they started creating these groups, this was around the time when 5v5 park runs was still booming. And so you had the likes of like Nick Briz forming a team. You had Milk White forming a team. He formed the Hoolies. Then at that same time, you had Devin the Lab. He was trying to put together a team. That's how this Little Lip, no, it almost looked like he ain't got no lip, but that's how Little Lip Baller's Life, get in on that, because your team don't just come out of nowhere. You didn't just have a 5v5 team. He created the team out of nowhere, and he created the team because all the other teams like Nick Briz, Chris Wright, like these teams were just average Joes. Baller's Life was the only team at the time that literally started pulling professionals. That's how they ended up with that what's the little Mexican dude? I think he Mexican. Starts with a G. But that's how I want to call him George, but that's not his name. It's not George. I think his last name is Guerrero or something like that. But that's how they ended up with that little Latino dude on their team. That's when they ended up with Frank Nitty. That's when they started popping up with all of these like professionals, and they kept pushing professional this. They was getting professionals to come join their little 5v5 runs, and they was testing the waters, but they was building 5v5s because this is around the time that the basketball community was thinking that the YouTube basketball community was pushing towards following after the NBA with the 5v5 style, just doing it YouTube style, predominantly with average Joes. And Ballers Life was, like I said, was the only institution at the time, or the only organization at the time that had implemented more than just regular Joes. They had legit like niggas overseas, D1, D2, all these, professionals. And that's how they got into the 5v5 space. Because at first they was just going, they was like the military. They was just predatorily showing up at high schools, pointing cameras at them, soliciting them to be a part of their, their thing. It's just like the military. That's what Ballers Life was doing for the longest, just showing up like creeps, spying on people for content. But they started to see how the YouTube basketball shifted. And like everything in life, we see it even with these people who call themselves trying to be musical artists, where they doodle and it should just hang it up. What they do, they was like, oh, let me see what's out at this time. This is big right now. This is trendy, so I'm going to hop on this. And then they do that. And so when they started to see how, even after they 5v5 runs, the 1v1s was booming on the after, they wasn't really posting it like that. It was literally, I remember because I was actively seeking out Uncle Scoob's stuff because I love 1v1, because I'm a person that spent most of my time in like 101 individual type sports, from taekwondo to mother freaking boxing. I didn't do like organized sports with a group of females until damn near my senior year. Like my junior year, my dad was nice enough. He finally let me go for a sport. I went for softball, made varsity immediately, and then did the same thing my senior year. Never played organized basketball ever in my life. Go for it, made it immediately, because they like, yo, we need you. But it's all the politics around it. I didn't get enough play time and this and the third because, these girls been playing longer than you, and some of them are going to college, and they need the they need the accolades and blah, 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 blah. Then you see these girls now, a lot of them, it's like, what? They ain't in college. They ain't got no career in basketball. They ain't have none. I think they barely did a year, if a semester. You know what I'm saying? So, I might sound like a hater. It is what it is. You have to say it in its full context. You can't just pick and choose what parts you want to say, because at the end of the day, Ballers Life has just been making moves to maintain relevancy. Other than that, they would have been washed away and disappeared, But let's continue.
Like 3v3 is cool, but it's really, in my opinion, like a watered down version of 5v5. So I think 1v1, if you were going like the Olympic route, I would rather see that than 3-on-3. If you can get all three of them in there, cool. But I really like 1v1 as an Olympic sport, just because, again, the whole like it's just me and you type aspect. Like I grew up wrestling, and it was just me and my opponent. If I didn't put in my work, or if they didn't put in their work, one of us is gonna lose pretty badly. Or if we both put in work, it makes an amazing match. So I think the next iteration of 1v1, everybody's trying to figure out. That's already in the space. But for us, just kind of letting you know, like for us, we want to create like a league, and we're in the talks of with some groups of doing that, hopefully for 2026. And I want to have like a league with standings, with different height classes that we can have, and also potentially like an open division where if you're in a lower class but you want to challenge somebody like Nas, but you're a lot shorter than him, you can challenge him. But if you lose, you don't lose like your placing in your division.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I think that's definitely what I hope to envision. But I don't know what the fans dictate everything. If they like it, that's the direction you go. If they don't, you go a different direction.
Yeah, I think you actually touched on both of the ways I see this going. So I have a couple ideas from my end where I think like the players have to they need to realize kind of what I said earlier. You guys are a vehicle for them to reach their dreams. You guys can't do the whole thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's the story. Dev and Frigga playing one on one was so big because like they already have their own brand. You can only match up people. You can't really create. You can't create people. You can't create these
Yep.
matchups. Like they have to exist, and then you guys have to find them. So I think from the player aspect, and what I would be urging the players to do is like they got to do more too. They need to build their brands. And something I wish I wish this stuff was around when I was playing, and I wish the internet was like it was now. I wish I had my own YouTube. You're seeing a lot of the NBA players building up and showing some more behind the scenes stuff. I think is awesome. And I think these players need to start building their own brand, building their personalities, because that goes in, that brings their fan base now into whatever thing they're going to do. So I think from the player side, I'd like to see more of that. Some of them are starting to do that, which is really good. But then from your side, as you said, with the league, most of the conversation going around right now, as soon as Rob beat Zay, is who's number one. And it's like, it'd be great if someone just had a championship ring and the argument was
Mm-hmm.
over. It'd be great
Yep.
if there was a point system and the argument was over. We can still have the conversations. Who do you think would win? But and one of the questions I was going to ask you, and this can lead into it, it's like most of the conversation going around it now is kind of toxic. It's like this guy's number one because this guy sucks and he would beat him and he would, and it's like, look, at the end of the day, you could, if there's a league, if there's a structure, if there's standings, like we can just see everyone's
Yep.
playing by the same rules. Those conversations can be a lot more positive of who would win in this matchup rather than who's played the most games, who's ducking who, and all that. Those conversations are going to happen, but I do feel like the focus is so much on the toxic conversation rather than the focus being like we can have our professional conversations, professional things here, then we can have the people that want to have the toxic conversations or more of that stuff. They can do that in a separate space. So it's room for both audiences. I guess from your perspective, what is the value of those types of conversations? So I think I worded it to you. I sent you through some things I did want to ask. It's like collabing with other, like TNC, the OTD, Ball is Life stuff, OBL. Like, do you see a lot of value in collabing, or do you think it's better that things are so separate? And with that being the case, like it gets pretty toxic as well. Like,
Well, obviously, you saw that we collaborated with OTD when we were in DC. We have a great relationship with Dabo and OTD. I think,
and
like,
he's reached out to me too. Like he's awesome.
yeah, he's a great, I would say, vehicle for the platform of 1v1 and just basketball lately as well, because he brings in. You can also potentially bring in like the music side of things, which goes hand in hand with hoops, as we all know.
Yep.
I think collaborating with other groups is definitely not out of the question for us. It just depends on like, can we work together? Can we mesh well with each other? What are the demands from both sides? And I think if there's a matchup that can be planned around it, there's definitely an openness on our side to be able to work with someone. But just understand it's very hard to do when there is a lot of animosity on both sides. And I don't think that's like a hidden fact out there. I think we kind of all know that. So I'm not going to like hide around that.
Also, just to be clear, I'm so oblivious to a lot of things going on. So if I ask anything that's leading into things like that, we don't have to dive in either.
No, it's cool.
Just because for me, like I've been in Australia for 13 years and I just came back.
So I do want to say, like, he called, and when I say he, Corey called Ball is Life like a beacon for players to get into the space. And dude sat in silence. And then he said that he felt that OTD was more of a beacon for like an introduction of players. He's not trying to take that route. He's trying to take the league route. And it's interesting because in the beginning, this is the thing that him and TNC kept pushing, Scott. And this is why I think that they have some conflict, because them two, it's like you can't expect something to function efficiently if they trying to incorporate multiple heads. You see what I'm saying? And so I think that's where a lot of their problems stem from, is like bumping heads type of ordeal like that. But in the beginning, they were saying, because when I was vocalizing that they should, provide health insurance for these players, because these players were putting their lives on the line. Even the likes like Zay in the beginning. Like Ball is Life is not no, like, even though he tried to make it seem like he not no big company, people's not, when people say big company, they're not necessarily talking about the size of your company, because there are some large law firms out here that only employs like 10 people, and they're not large because of the amount of staff that they have, but they're large because of the amount of pool, the amount of funding. They're large because of the access and to resources they have. That's why you're considered large. It's not necessarily in size. So I think it's very obfuscating to sit here and say that we're not a large company and try to push it as if you're talking about the size of your company when people are talking about your access, your resources, right? At the end of the day, when Baller's Life was getting into the 1v1 scene, right, and they had Zay playing on there, they had P. Sean playing with them, they had the DuckTales nigga, they had the Nas, they had the Scoob. Even the same thing with TNC. This is one of the things that I have vocalized, which is why I got drowned out in the noise, is because I used to tell them all the time, like, bro, you cannot exploit these people. Like, y'all ain't nothing but culture vultures. You come to the hood, y'all come to these impoverished neighborhoods, and y'all seek out literally, because if you look at these sports, even though they're starting to get more pale colored folk in there, they're starting to get some Asians and all that. They was literally going to areas that was heavily black. And then when you see a lot of that fighting content, that's why they was going to these rough neighborhoods trying to get content. And that's the same thing that these news reporters do. They not going to the affluent neighborhoods to go get you no motherfucking footage. And it's a whole hot mess out there. Right? We hear it all the time. The quarrels that happen amongst rich people. But that's not... that doesn't sell as well as sex and blood and filth and poverty, you know? And so he'd sit here and cry, but it's like, dude, when people are talking about big, they're talking about you. I think he mentioned it before, but the dude makes a percentage from YouTube, right? And he was making that percentage when he was going to high schools and colleges and like a predator, just got the cameras on these kids for content so he can make profit off of it. They not getting none of the profit, but he has residual profit coming in. And now you done snuck over to the motherfucking 1v1 space. Now you got these people putting their lives on the line. But if these niggas twist their ankle, how they gonna get seen? You niggas ain't got no insurance. The people that y'all motherfucking soliciting to join your space to be on your platform ain't got no insurance. So what are y'all doing? What are you doing? This is what niggas is talking about. And they actually had the means to do so. They just didn't want to.
And everyone's like, oh yeah, like NIL is crazy. I'm like, what's NIL? And it's like the rules for high school are changed and AAU is crazy. Yep. Like everything was so different. Now I'm like, wait, one-on-one is a thing? Everything's so new to me. And I start getting in the comments and it's like, yeah, this is happening. There's beef here and there's beef here. And I'm like, whoa. It's entertaining. Like it's pretty cool. But I guess that's where, from my perspective, I'm still living in everyone's happy, everyone's friends, everyone wants the same thing. So from my perspective, I'm like, oh, why not just do this? Why not just do this? So I guess understanding there are personalities. Also, as you said, you guys are still a fairly small company. So a lot of those relationships between you and another company, between someone else putting on a one-on-one, there's still a lot more personal stuff going on behind the scenes, and also players too. I know how it can be. Players start teaming up behind the scenes. Players start not wanting to work with certain groups too. So I know there's a lot of moving pieces there. Yeah, I guess from what you've said, it seems like the league is probably like a really good way to circumvent a lot of that. It almost kind of takes the personal side out of it. And it's like, look, here's the rules. Here's how we're playing. If you want to play by these rules, let's drop you in there. And I guess it kind of streamlines a lot of that. So I guess that does make a lot more sense.
Yeah, I think.
To go back to my earlier point, I even remember when I was like vocalizing about what their direction was, because I kept saying, like, why are y'all trying to get the pro route? Like, this, we're trying to bring attention on people that are just regular Joes that didn't have no opportunity. Like, why is it the pro? And then now we see now that there's a conflict with the pros. And the crazy part about it is that TNC, Baller's Life, this is what they was trying to get in the beginning, right? But now they have like consistent regular people coming in that's actually pretty dope at what they do. And then now they're trying to get the pros in because they know the pros are probably, get them a little bit more eyeballs. So now there's like this feud between pros and regular Joes. But in the beginning, that's exactly what these platforms were trying to get. But then the regular Joes is like, hell no, nigga. There's quite a bit of us. We can hang with these professionals. And then we seen it. You got Nesco whooping on niggas 30-1. You got motherfucking School whooping damn near everybody you put in front of him, as long as he got time to prepare. Because I will say that Eugene match was crazy. Nas just throwing my man on there like that. I don't respect Nas for that. And I do think he ducking motherfucking LP. Because I was going to make a video about that and pull up all the motherfucking footage. And I'm still considering doing it. Where that motherfucking Joker was out here. He talking the same junk that motherfucking Briscoe was talking about how he was buddy. And now all of a sudden he get on social media and talk big. And then now Nas mad at LP and then threatening to sue and all this wild stuff. And then want to do all this PR stuff. I bought my mom her first car, which is nice and stuff. But the Bible says, don't let your left hand know what your right hand doing, my brother. If you're doing kind deeds for people, the Bible says when you do for people in secret, the Lord will bless you out in the open. But when you do for people and you draw attention to it, baby, okay? That's your blessing right there. But anyways, it's the fact that their whole shindig with their platform in the beginning, and this is going longer than I wanted to. I'm gonna cut it off soon. But was that you should be honored to be on our platform. They was treating their platform like the motherfucking Super Bowl. You should be honored to be on our platform. And I felt the exact same way as I felt then as I feel now. Like, what? Should be honored to be on your platform? Nigga, I don't care if this is Super Bowl or if it's a motherfucking Boiler's Life. Or at the end of the day, my body is on here. And I am bringing you motherfucking, attention. I am bringing you money, and you don't want to pay me. It's an honor to be on your platform, nigga. What? Shut up. It ain't honor that you putting into your pockets. So yes, I feel like these niggas be trying to treat the platforms like the Super Bowl. Like how I feel, if them niggas want you on the Super Bowl, then they should motherfucking pay you. It is not an honor and a privilege to be on their motherfucking platform when these niggas make billions of dollars off of y'all. And for the niggas that feel some type of way because I vocalize how I feel, let me tell you something. Because I don't know if I'm gonna get to it in this video because this is long enough, and I feel like I'm about to cut this off in about 10 minutes. Because I need to go finish my hair, and I'm honestly getting hungry and I'm tired of watching this video because I watched it already. But anyways, he talks about, big business. We're not a big business. Big business. I encourage you to come back and watch this video yourself. It's on, I call him Mr. Coach Midrange because the nigga look like he about my mom's age. But, come to his platform and watch this video in its entirety. But there's a part where he talks about businesses and he's talking about how he can't afford this, that, and the third, and blah, 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 blah. And then he starts to explain his business endeavors, and it might come up. Like I said, I'll give it about 10 minutes, but I'm going to just put it out here just in case it doesn't come up, and I cut it off. He explains his business endeavors and what his ideas are with his business and blase, blase, blase. And I want to say that every business, Amazon, IBM, Microsoft, you see what I'm saying? Kodak, Ball Shalom, the Eastman, these were places in Rochester, right? That I just recently listed. But these big businesses, Facebook, okay, majority of these big businesses that's making hundreds of millions of dollars, these billion-dollar corporations, when they first started out the same motherfucking humble, grassroots methods, like, oh, we're gonna make everything free and accessible just so everybody can get access to it. And then right when everybody gets access to it, that's when we're gonna start charging. And then when we start charging, we're gonna start adding in extra charges and extra charge, and that is how they become. Sorry, y'all, I'm yelling into the microphone. But that is how these niggas become motherfucking multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar industries. They do this by literally just tacking on extra expenses. Once upon a time, you can go onto cable and every mother freaking brand of cable, mother freaking HBO, Nickelodeon, Disney Channel, TNT. All these jokers was on one mother freaking, cable platform. Now all of a sudden somebody came up with the bright idea and was like, yo, let's break this joker up. Why charge all these people one time for all this stuff when we can charge them for all this individual service? You know what I'm saying? And so not only are they charging for you for every individual service, but then there's tiers to those individual services. So it's the same service. So, hey, now you got to pay for this service if you want to watch, HBO. But, or what is it? Is it mother freaking, the Paramount Plus with the mother freaking commercials. You can watch Paramount all you want. But if you don't want commercials, you got to pay. It was the same thing with Netflix. I remember when I first got Netflix, that junk was like $5.99. Paying what, like $25 a month now? It's crazy. And then when you follow the web, right? When you follow the web, you see at the top, the niggas who own all these different businesses is the same entity. So you got one entity charging for all these different things, even though it's one entity at the top. That's how they make money. And this is how he and all the rest of them trying to start out. They start out free. Hey, let's give access to everybody. Let's lure them in. Once we get them lured in, now we throw some charges on them. The ones that don't want to get charges, they get thrown by the wayside. That's what it is. But we're going to coerce them into mother freaking doing so. Like, you'll even hear them complain about the people. And when I say people, I'm talking about the supporters, because I don't call none of y'all niggas fans. You're not fans, you're supporters. These niggas need to get this fan thing out of their mind. You're not Jesus. Get up out of here with all this mother freaking haughty nature. But anyways, they start talking about how the fans complain about the existence of pricing. And if it's like, nigga, if you actually listen with comprehension, then you will hear that niggas is not talking about the existence of pricing. They're talking about the fact that once upon a time, when it was all free, we had good quality videos, on top of the fact that we had consistent posted videos. And then now all of a sudden that you putting stuff behind paywalls and you're trying to encourage everybody to get behind your little community, your paid community, you know what I'm saying, full of incels and mother freaking poor hygiene. Now, my bad, y'all, for yelling, but now the content that is distributed for free is very limited. You're barely posting it. And then when you do post it, it's usually matches don't nobody want to see. Like I said, the only person that was really mother freaking posting matches that people wanted to see was OTD. That's it. Once it went behind, even before it went behind the paywall, the only one that was really posting anything was OTD. Then they went behind the paywall. They were still posting better matches than everybody else. Then the consistency of the complaints became, mostly with OTD, is the frequency, how frequent they will post. Nobody really cared about the other platforms because they already accepted the fact these niggas is just trying to make money. They're the bigger corporations, TNC, it's Ball is Life. They already have hundreds of millions. They already have about 1 million subscribers. And then when you take a look at all the other platforms and such, right? Then you see that these jokers, they're just stacked. But then OTD come along with a couple tens of thousands of people on top of the fact that they're fighting against the stigma of being black, because y'all don't want to put it out there, but OTD is doing one hell of a job being ghetto, being perceived as just black, urban. That's even how y'all refer to when you talk about the OTD, gritty with the filing, OTD. It's literally how they talk about the hood, but then they go to these areas, you know what I'm saying, to get you on their platform so that you can help them get eyeballs. It's the same thing like Elvis Presley going to the niggas, you know what I'm saying, to figure out what he want to do with his life. So now all of a sudden he done stole Hound Dog from Big Mama Thornton, and he done stole the persona of every black man that he done seen walk up into the black churches. They walked up into them juke joints, them holes in the wall. Culture appropriators. That's why I call Ball of Life and them culture appropriators, because the ghetto, the ruddy, the the gritty, the urban lifestyle, all that stuff is cool when you ain't got nothing and you trying to build. But once you get to that place where you're like, okay, now we getting somewhere. Now they want to flop and become more fancy, more palatable to the affluent folk. Now we're trying to get funding, and we're not going to get funding with all this ghetto behavior. You guys can't curse, you know. Hey, maybe it's ensured that you look a certain way. I don't know. But you can't curse. You can't motherfucking do this. You can't do that. You can't touch. I mean, niggas is playing basketball, but it's like, if y'all, do you want a non-contact sport, or like, what do you want? Because if you want non-contact sport, I recommend golf or maybe tennis, but that's neither here nor there. At the end of the day, this is why I call these niggas culture appropriators, because it's cool piggybacking off of the Negro lifestyle, the Negro American lifestyle, until it gets you where you want to go. Then now where you want to go, now you turn into Justin Timberlake. Mm-hmm. Now you turn into motherfucking Jim Carrey. It always happens. It always happens. Jesus, Lord Jesus. But let's continue.
I think even when you're talking about the conversations and how they're going online, whether it's like negative or positive, I think everything has its place. I think when things take like too negative a turn, I would hope that like the people that are a part of the culture of 1v1 don't like go into it too much on that end. I'd rather not do that, and I'd rather have the space look positive in as much ways as possible. I think competitive banter between both sides on a matchup is healthy. I think you need to sell the match. If you're going to have something that's like right now in this current iteration being pay-per-view, you have to sell the match and hope that people would understand that. But if we can move to a place where we have enough like sponsors on board and we're able to offer things in a more cost-effective way, that's the route we would love to be able to take. And I know just one of the reasons why I reached out was because of the business side of things, and I wanted to be able to just kind of go over that so that people watching your channel or just involved in the space kind of understand it. Like, I understand a lot of the content is free and they've been watching it for free for a while, but these events are not cheap. Like, the guys are making some real money on these events, and we're paying out some real money, but it's a total collaboration between us and them and any other group that we're doing things with. But it's not an easy lift at all. Like, we're taking a chance by putting up a lot of money for that event we just did in DC in hopes of bringing it back by fan support. So it's that I want people to understand that there's a difference there. Like, you're investing into an idea and hoping that you get a return. And if you did get a return, great. But just understand, even if you do get a return, you're most likely as a business investing that right back into the next event that you got to do, which is what we're doing.
And I think I mentioned that in that video I did, and I do think it's super important. And again, I don't know if you like see much of my content with like how I engage with the community. I've tried from the very beginning to like I respond to every comment. I know like as a larger corporation or a larger company, it's much harder to do, but just to build and facilitate that community, like the types of conversations we're going to have are these. If you disagree with me, let's disagree, but let's talk about it. But it's not going to be slinging negativity back and forth just because like I've seen how this stuff goes in the past. And I think watching that video, a lot of the fans, I think there's a lot of fans that are still here from the 5-on-5 days. And there's a group of creators that create the controversy. They create a huge fight just broke out, or this guy called me this, and look how he responds. Like, I think there's a big group of those people. And I think exactly what you're saying with the growth, I'm not saying here's the answer. I think what needs to happen though is there needs to be some kind of cultivation of this is why we're doing this, and maybe this will help having these conversations where they can see it. This is why we're doing it. Here's our vision. This is why it costs what it costs. Like, this is what it is. And I know from the business side of it, like I edit all my own stuff. It takes a lot of time to upload my videos, to edit, to record. Like, there's so much time and effort that goes into it, but there's time and effort that it took to learn that. So there's so much, that's a huge cost for someone. So if you go hire someone who's a cameraman, it's not just some dude holding a camera. It's a guy that like went to school for this. He's put in all that time. So you're paying for his skill set, his time. You're going to have to edit it. Like, you're going to have multiple camera people. You're going to have exactly the setup, the venue, insurance, like just everything that goes on behind the scenes, I think that people don't see. So when I saw that there's the pay-per-view to watch Rob versus Zay, I was like, oh, automatic, click, click, click. How do I get it? So for me, it was so easy to pay for that because I know I'm getting a good deal. I don't have to do anything. I get to just watch. And I think you guys have been doing free content for so long, and I've mentioned this in my video, it's that double-edged sword. When you do something for free, people just expect free forever. But they're not good at keeping a perspective of it was free before, but the content wasn't as good as what it is now. If you really match them up side by side, it's a completely different thing. Like that content's gone up, but the price hasn't gone up. And then all of a sudden the price comes and it's like, well, I guess we could have introduced the price earlier, but we would have had the same problem. So I think there's a fine line of it's going to cost too much or it's going to cost like too little, but you just have to put a price on it, and you figure that out as you go. And then fans are going to get upset if it's not the matchup they want to see, or every game isn't a great game. So I think if there's some leeway and charitability that you guys are doing the right thing, I expect there to be some duds. There's going to be some matchups you guys put together that aren't great, but that Rob versus Zay game was like, that was like the best game. That's probably the best. That's got to be one of the top 3 games in the one-on-one space like ever. So it's like, if I'm paying $10, $20, and I possibly get to see one of the best games ever, and you guys are going to put those productions on more normally, like that's kind of the direction it has to go. What are your...
One second. Shut this door. I didn't want to get up while you were saying that.
No,
but you just started vacuuming, so I don't want there to be a bunch of noise. But no, I think to answer your thoughts there, it's really like just understanding the difference between what is still free and the difference between what that pay-per-view event is. So like the free stuff we do, like just understand every single month we spend tens of thousands of dollars to produce that stuff. We have a whole entire team that puts it together on the pre-production, production, and post-production that puts that together. Then there's the athletes that you got to take care of. There's travel expenses that are associated with each one of those regular ongoing series. And then for the pay-per-view events, that involves, and this last one, 10 guys, 10 with 5 matchups that we did. And all of them, I think, were decent matchups outside of like the dud that we had with Kyrie and Nas. But like each one of those matchups costs way more than our regular series does. Like the guys know that we're going to do well. So if they know we're going to do well, they also want to ensure that they're being taken care of in the right way, which is perfectly fine. Like that's it's called being good about your business and fighting for what you deserve.
Yep.
I think like the regular audience needs to understand that like it's a different thing. Like you're not getting NBA games for free. You're getting that a part of a package that you pay for, whether it's through YouTube TV, whether it's through your local provider, or whether it's through NBA League Pass. Like you're paying for that one way or another. But the NBA is like a gigantic corporation that makes billions and billions of dollars. Like we're a smaller entity with athletes that are making in the thousands of dollars range, not signing $200 million a year contracts. It's different.
Yeah. And I think and maybe just because I'm older, I just have that perspective of, I do remember when there was like a year or 2 years, like right when League Pass was becoming a thing. I'm pretty sure I had it on Xbox Live, and it came with Xbox Live. So when I first got my Xbox Live, I could watch NBA games for free. Like I didn't have to pay anything. And so I was watching it for free. And then it was a year and a half later, and the subscription came. And then from that subscription, then it was like, well, you get the regular season, you got to pay for playoffs. Like these things have always done this, but the NBA had to first take a risk and say, look, we're going to put all of our games out for free. We're going to give them on Xbox Live. We're going to put them on PlayStation. We're going to put them on everything, Netflix or Hulu, whatever it was at the time. We'll put them out for free. And that's going to be at a cost to us. But it's going to draw some attention. It's going to get people in and build the fan base. And then when we put out higher production stuff, because it also wasn't produced very well back then, everything, what is it? The rising tide lifts all boats. The players started making way more money. The league, the production started getting way better. Like the commentators, they started paying like for better commentators. Like everything improved about the NBA, more sponsorships, all that stuff. And then even still now they're at a point where they can actually just name the price. This is how much League Pass will cost. It doesn't cost us any more or less, but we just want to change it. So I think there's a fundamental difference there where the fans are treating you guys kind of like the NBA. You like froze for a second. Oh, the fans are treating you guys like the NBA. So they're in their mind, they're like, oh, you're just deciding to raise the cost, to raise the price. And I think on my end, I see it and I go, I don't know how you guys were going to keep going without doing that. If I were Rob, if I were Zay, I wouldn't have played like for free for exposure. I've already got that. And now I'm risking my reputation. Like, why would I play? And that's something I learned overseas. The players are their own business. And it's like, you have to take care of yourself, because otherwise, like if you get injured, like, what are you going to do then? So I do think that's the piece that I also wanted people to see, because I know I can kind of see the difference between like scammy business practices and people that are kind of genuine with the cause. But also I'm looking at, man, look how much free content we're getting. I'm getting to like break down games every single day, and I'm not making the content. I'm not making it, but I get to use your one-on-one games to teach kids how to score one-on-one.
Yep.
I get to use those one-on-one. Like, we're getting so much more content, and it's pushing the game forward so much. And it's like, oh, it's going to cost $10 though, $20 though to watch, a really good game, to bring in Ty Lawson. Like, if you want to watch a former NBA player play, like, that's just what it costs. Why else would Ty Lawson come play one-on-one?
One of the other cool things we did, even talking about the cost, is like,
To be fair, I don't think he's froze. I think he like kind of zoned out a little bit, zoned out a little bit, because Midrange could chit chat. However, I'm gonna let this buddy finish what he's saying, then I'm gonna say my piece, and then we getting about it.
we took it upon ourselves. So we did obviously a deal with Caffeine back in the day where it was free, but you had to join their app and watch on there, and it was really buggy and it went off constantly. And we've also done some stuff in the past where we produced some live productions for Facebook Live when they rolled that out, like in 2017, 2018. And their system wasn't very good, but we've been live broadcasting online since 2014. And the number one platform that we've had experience with that never goes down and never gives us any issues is YouTube. So I've been telling the guys for like the last like year or two, we got to do it on YouTube as a subscription on YouTube. Why? Because that's where our fan base is. And then two, we know the system is like bulletproof, literally. Like you get hit that thing with a nuclear bomb and it's not going down. And we've had streams go down on YouTube and it doesn't end. It allows you to reconnect, go back, and you're back being live on a stream versus other platforms. If your stream goes down, it ends the stream, then you got to start a whole new one. Then you got to bring the audience back over, and it's just a pain in the butt, like through and through. So for us, we're like, let's keep it on YouTube. We understand YouTube is taking a 30% cut on any subscription that comes through, and we're okay with that 30% cut. But we want to give the audience the best possible like type of experience that we can. And we know that YouTube puts out the best possible products. That's where we want to keep it at. And our stream, for the most part, went really well. I mean, there were some like audio issues here and there. We fully produced it ourselves. That was the first stream that we've ever done where we've literally produced it in-house. Before we would pay like tens of thousands of dollars for a company to stream it for us. We produced it all in-house. We had all our own camera guys operating it. Like I was helping a good colleague and friend of mine, Daniel Soto, produce it with the scoreboard and just helping where I can while I was there. And our team did it. Like everybody was happy afterwards because we're like that small team that we're like, dude, we just did something freaking awesome. And like more than 10,000 people signed up and watched it. We had over 20,000 people watching on the free stream. Like everybody was like psyched and like just super happy.
Yeah, I think, again, knowing the cost and effort and everything that goes into it is one thing. Knowing how the players have to be taken care of, that's another thing. But I think another part that gets missed, I kind of touched on it earlier, but like it gets better as you go. So you probably learned a lot of things with this setup and some of the things that went wrong. I know there was the Ty Lawson Nesco thing that happened. It's like, oh, okay, well now next time let's have like a clear cut rule for if something like that happens. Like these things when you put on
Yep.
events, when you try things, like they just happen. But it's like as long as you can show, like, yeah, we'll just improve every time we're improving. I think I always try to be charitable because I've had to organize large things. I've been there, and it's like, yeah, okay, well the company next time they either do better or they don't, and you
Mm-hmm.
can really quickly as a fan see like, oh, they
Y'all can't even hear me. My bad, y'all. But I'm over here trying to resize my little output right here. But as I straighten this up, you know, because I am motherfucking new to this, in a sense of I ain't used this in God knows how long. You know what I'm saying? Boop boop. I'm over here messing stuff up. But anyways, I think that's good. I see what he's saying. Like I get it. It's a business. Your business has to function. It has to go on or it'll just fall apart. And we live in a capitalistic society, so I completely understand. I completely understand. However, I'm just always going to be an advocate of the people, especially the little people. The people that aren't as affluent. Like I hear it, it sounds nice, Serving in the Marine Corps, I've had people whisper sweet nothings to me in my ears before, you know? And it sounds nice. It really does. It sounds nice. And but at the end of the day is that you have to be true to who you are and what your goals are with your business, because at the end of the day people are going to see you for who you are. Yeah, you might have some random what they call trolls or whatever. You might have some random people who just come in to cause chaos for no reason, admit anything. But but the truth is that the people is like he said, the people is what makes these platforms decide which route they're gonna go and stuff. And at the end of the day is like, yeah, you're gonna have some people that pays into your your business or whatever. And don't be blinded by the idea that or the fact that at the moment it seems like, yeah, we're doing okay. We got all these people that's investing into us. Forget all the other people that, you know, don't care about it or whatever, that don't want to do it. Because at the end of the day, it's like you said, like y'all started off as free. And to be fair, it's not like Ball's Life just popped up out of nowhere like a Hoop Dreams or something. Like they're well established. So like I said, he's already stated that YouTube gets a 30% off of his subscriptions, and yet this man had those subscriptions to which YouTube was getting their 30% before he even entered into the 1v1 space. So to sit here and try to make it seem like you don't have all this extra funding, and this is why I don't like what we are in today, because you would literally, we are in this time now where you have rich people trying to make it seem like, oh, I'm one of y'all, I'm not rich. I'm just like you. There's I'm not a part of the 1%. Like I'm struggling like the rest of y'all, and I don't get all this. I don't have a large pool of funding and X, Y, and Z. And now it's like, oh, throw me a pity party, even though I still got more money than you, and I ain't got no problem with rubbing it in your face every now and then. But I'm honestly, it's nasty work. It's nasty work because it seems like mockery where you got rich people Mother Freaker trying to make it seem like I'm just like you. I see it with Carlson Tucker. I've seen it with Candace Owens. And some of their content I actually find formidable. You know what I'm saying? Like I actually rock with some of their content. But it's the like, especially when they try to advertise for you to go pay into something that they're promoting because they're getting paid for it. And they're like, yeah, go see my friends over at blah, blah, blah. Or go shop with so and so because that's where I shop at. No, good as well, that's not. You know, when they talk about rich people, they talk about it as if like they're excluded from the rich people because they're not the 1%. You may not be a part of the 1%, baby, but you ain't a part of the 90% either. You see what I'm saying? Like the 90% is predominantly poor. Matt, you may not come from, you know, an extensive wealthy family line like Donald Trump or Pierre Dupont, but at the end of the day, like, nigga, you come with money. Like, stop. It's the crybaby for me. It's the stop. Like, it's one thing to see, like I said, these newer establishments like Hoop Dreams not be able to pay their, you know, their players well, and maybe not be able to have the greatest, you know, insurance coverage. But like Mr. Corby said, is that you have to make it like known with people. You have to be transparent because we are in a time now. This ain't the 1990s and beyond where people will blindly support you, you know, and donate money to you. And all you got to do is just lie and lie and lie, and they just going to eat it up. Like, a lot of us hear your lies. We're going to go research. We're going to we're going to be cynical. You know what I'm saying? And so I get you ain't Donald Trump rich, okay? But you ain't homeless rich either. So let's stop that. Until the whole, like, and I'm gonna end this after here because we are at an hour and 30 minutes for what? 34 minutes in. It's 30 minutes of me talking proudly. But you can't just classify everybody that is a part of the comment section to be just talking out of like malice, right? Oh, they're just talking toxic, you know, language. They're just pushing, you know, division. They're just pushing negativity. Everything that opposes you isn't negative. Just because you disagree with it or you don't like it doesn't mean it's negative. And to just paint that blanket statement is weak. And I'm tired of y'all also blanketing the complaints and gripes that pertains to whatever space, but we are talking about the basketball YouTube space now, so we'll stick to that, on the people. Like I said earlier, Rob, as well as many other YouTube players, have got on their social media and took to their social medias the dramas. Now, those that seem to have had, you know, over time gain more PR training, some public, how to act in public and stuff, you know, not to put your emotions and your business out and not to look messy because it can mess with your money. Before people started really paying attention to that stuff, people were acting just like Nesco. They get emotional, they going right to social media and they putting it all out there. You know what I'm saying? They not nitpicking what they're going to talk about to make sure that they can still get picked up. Like, we've seen that before. And when Scoob participated, I think it was Scoob and Nas, when Nas played against Devontae Friga, when Scoob and Nas played in the first TNC pay-per-view event, and right after they both won their positions, right, they were talking about, you know, how everybody was talking, you know, big on this person and big on this person, but now that I done won, why nobody praising me? And obviously we see, you know, people don't like to make mentions of it. It is what it is. But I love to draw attention to it because, one, TNC is predominantly pale colored people. And you got two losers, Devontae Friga and Rob Cologne, right? People wonder why every time somebody go up against Rob, they got so much battle. And then people was literally, I heard on this little interview with Darius Adams, and he was asked by I call him Donkey from Shrek, because not only, man, Brandon Ellis, he sounds like Donkey from Shrek, bro. kind of favors Eddie Murphy a little bit too, but that dude had asked him. He was like, people say that Mike James can beat Rob, but you and Mike James were basically in the same vicinity or come from the same, space and whatnot. Why are people doubting you but not Mike James? Go look up Mike James. I encourage you. Go look him up. Light skinned brother. Now, me personally, I love to draw attention to people's implicit biases, which are biases that people have, and they're just not aware of them at the moment because they're in their subconscious, but they're displayed. And that's just one of my guesses. But going back to what I was saying, I remember Scoob and Nas was going live and they were complaining about how they didn't get called back or something like that or they was hoping to get called back or something. And then they was like, oh, we shouldn't talk too much because, we trying to come back to the event. Like, they literally have gripes and complaints pertaining to TNC, but they decided to not take it public because of the hopes that, maybe they can get another chance back on TNC because TNC is a bigger platform at the moment and it's paying people the most out of all of these platforms that they're on. So even though people may not like, your business dealings, even you, Matt Rodriguez, and your homie AK, people may not like your business dealings and stuff. And y'all are aware that people may not like you, but they're gonna jump through hoops and they gonna motherfucking do the tap dance, put on their tap shoes, because at the end of the day, they expect to get paid off of you. And it reminds me of that scripture. What profit a man to gain the world to lose his whole soul? And you literally got people out here who would sell out their own mama for a check. You know what I'm saying? They'll take their own lives, ruin their own lives for a check. That's how blackmail works. They dangle something in your face to get you to turn from your morals, your ethics, and then, they got you. So that is what it is. Like, but I don't think it's fair to just pinpoint it and try to put it off as like, oh, it's the fans. First off, niggas, we're not fans. None of us are fans. Even the people that are paying into y'all subscriptions, they are supporters. You niggas are not God. You're not Jesus. Don't nobody idolize y'all, okay? Y'all not lionized over here. Don't nobody worship you. Not fans, supporters. Okay, you're human. We're humans. Okay, we like you, human. So, or maybe we enjoy watching you, human. So we're going to support you by watching or funding whatever you got going on. That's what it is, okay? Not no motherfucking fans. Support. Because without our support, nigga, you won't be on here trying to get big on these platforms. So they're not just supporters, and I think it's asinine to motherfuckers sit here and push the gripes that the supporters have as something that just comes solely from the fans. When, like I have mentioned to y'all before, you have ample players that is active on these platforms now who have these same gripes, who have these same complaints. The only difference is that these institutions, these big organizations, and I call you big, Ballers Life, TNC, I'm pretty sure Scott has a bunch of his homies and stuff, just like you. You know what I'm saying? He want to claim, I'm not a big company, but you're big in the sense of reach and resource, access, okay? You're bigger than Hoop Dreams. Y'all can't motherfucking come into these spaces and motherfucking just suck people dry and use them and then expect nobody to say nothing and then want to be like, oh, it's just a bunch of kids. It's a bunch of trolls. They're just nothing but kids coming at us. Y'all fail to realize that most of them niggas talking junk to y'all in the comments is not no motherfucking kids. They adults. Because as soon as kids do some stupid junk, the first thing y'all say is, oh, you acting grown. Are they acting grown or are they acting like kids? That's what I want to know. Because they clearly can't be acting like kids if you tell them that they acting grown, but then they can't be acting grown when you tell them they acting like kids. Unless, because they do get their actions from you older niggas. So that means you older niggas acting like children. Gots to be. Because why else would the kids be doing it? Y'all be sitting here acting like it's just motherfucking kids in the comments. Niggas are kids in the comments. Oh, just trolls in the comments. Nigga, I'm one of them people that in the comments that say things that opposes y'all views, that is critical of you. You know what I'm saying? And like I mentioned earlier, I got blocked by Brandon Ellis, B. Ellis. I've been bumping heads with Ballers Life and them from the very beginning. I've been bumping heads with Scotty since he was a part of Ballers Life. Like, I've been calling them, motherfucking culture vultures since what, 2019, 2018? I don't even remember. Something like that. I've been calling them motherfucking culture vultures and participators of exploitation since I came across them. Because at the end of the day, that's what it looks like they be doing. Y'all see that aloe goo dripping down my face? But that's what they've been doing. And I told you how they come like predators into them schools and whatnot. But let me hurry this up because, and I'm gonna leave it just like this. I ain't gonna break none of this up. If y'all watch it, you watch it. If you don't, it's sitting there. Because at the end of the day, to God be all the glory. I got a roof over my head. I got food to eat. The use of my limbs. I got transportation. I got money. I can get to and fro. I don't want for nothing. I'm a lender, not a borrower. You know what I'm saying? I'm the head and not the tail. I'm rich and not poor. So at the end of the day, I just do this literally as a hobby. I don't do it with the intentions of getting paid. Maybe those intentions will change in the future. Who knows? Only the Lord knows. But as of now, I do this to educate, and it's a hobby. It's something to keep my mind, busy. And I wanted to call it out because it's like people be trying to act like they peculiar. No, baby, you're doing the same thing, the same raggedy business that everybody else been dealing with. And I want to tell you something, that when it comes to me, you can't make it seem like it's some selfish intentions, because it's not. Because at the end of the day, I know what raggedy looks like. I've been in the military, okay? You got people like Matt Rodriguez that I'm not a big business. I'm not a big business. Yet big corporations do the same stupid stuff that you're doing. They do all this tiptoeing and panhandling and motherfucking dipping and diming and charging on all this extra stuff that it's like, bro, why are you charging me all this stuff? Why? Why are you doing all this when the services that you provide, the products that you provide, have not even been up to par? Let me tell you something. In the military, because people want to complain that I advocate motherfucking, for the people and fight against exploitation. I was in the military, and I'm going to end here and tell y'all about my little military experience. I was in the military, and it was right before I actually got into the military. I was training to get into the Marine Corps, and I was in the recruiting station. And when you are officially in the recruiting station and you're training to become a Marine or an Army man or a Navy man, they call you a poolee, right? A poolee. So I'm a poolee, right? And while I'm in there, I had this staff sergeant whom I did not like that. And when I said I didn't like that, this nigga was extra friendly, like overly friendly. He was one of them overly friendlies that I had got the feeling like this nigga like little kids or something. Like he must have a crush on me, because why are he so friendly with me? Mind you, I'm 17, training to become a Marine. And I was 17 years old when I went off to boot camp in the Marine Corps. So here it is. I'm 17 years old and I'm training. And I didn't like this man. One, because he made me feel uncomfortable. And two, because he used to call me Pootie. So when I was training, right, they're supposed to call you Poolie, but he called me Pootie because while I'm training, we doing crunches. And I had gas, so I passed it, Flatulence came out the butt. Pootie, boom. This nigga starts calling me Pootie Grayson instead of Poolie Grayson. Pootie Grayson. Playing on the fact that I farted. So it annoyed me. On top of the fact that he already got on my nerves because he came off overly nice. And I'm saying overly nice to be generous. The nigga came off like a motherfucking pedophile. You know what I'm saying? And so one day, and mind you, he picks me up from my parents' house, and he takes me to go train in the Marine Corps. So this man, one day he comes and pick me up, and it's about maybe 2 months before I go off to boot camp. I went off to boot camp August 2010 at 17 years old. I turned 18 in boot camp. My birthday was a month later, and I turned 18 in boot camp, right? So I'm about to let y'all out. Give me a second. So this dude, he takes me to the pool function, right? And for the activity we playing, I can't remember if it was like 2-hand touch or if it was flag football, but we playing something like that. And a pass came in. I can't remember if the pass was directed, like intended for me, or if it was intended for somebody else, and I was just trying to get an interception. I just remember jumping up in the air trying to get this ball. And this girl that was part of the pulley function, she's a white girl. She ends up clipping me by my feet, catching me while I'm in the air. So when I come down, I'm like landing on my back. And I was nervous that I was going to fall on my head. So I'm like trying to turn mid-air. And when I come down, I fall mostly on my right shoulder blade. Immediately, my shoulder comes out of place. So I'm like full of air. I can't breathe. I'm motherfucking trying to hold back crying because I'm in pain. And I walk up to Staff Sergeant Towers. I'll never forget this man because I couldn't stand this man. Okay, yes, that's why I'm putting his name out there. Staff Sergeant Towers. This nigga, motherfucking, I go up to him and I tell him, like, Staff Sergeant, I think my shoulder dislocated or something. I can't move it and I'm in pain. He's like, all right, just sit right here. So he points at a bleacher. I sit down on a bleacher. This nigga makes me sit there and wait until they're done their little Marine Corps training. Right? They're done with their little pulley function. So now the kids done picked up, the kids done got picked up by their parents, and I'm left with this dude to take me home. He's sitting here chit-chat with me. I'm holding my arm. I don't even remember what he was saying, but I just remember being so upset. Now, I know some of y'all be like, why didn't you call your mom? Well, first off, it's 2010. Cell phones were not easily accessible as they are now. And even if they were, my parents were not the parents to buy their children a cell phone. It was not happening, okay? It was not happening. And when my dad did finally buy me a phone, it was a Virgin Mobile, and I couldn't even bring it to school. I couldn't bring it with me. So it's like, what is the point of me having this thing? Could barely even use it, So anyways, I'm riding in the car. We get to my parents' house, and this nigga finally drops me off. So he drops me off, right? And I'm like, okay, is he going to come in and talk to my parents? I get out the car. I start walking to the door. This nigga pulls off. He pulled off, bro. Mind you, I am 17 years old. I am a minor. 17 years old. So I walk into the house. My parents all like, T, what's wrong with you? I immediately start boohoo crying, holding my shoulder and stuff. They like, what's wrong with you? Why are you holding your shoulder? I tell them everything. And by the grace of God, my parents, I don't know how they managed to make it happen, but they actually had health insurance for us. And the reason why I say I don't know how they made it happen, because my parents had 6 kids while my mom was working a entry-level position. You know what I'm saying? So it was nobody but God, right? But my mom took me to the hospital, and by the grace of God, I had health insurance. Now, this is a whole staff sergeant of the Marine Corps, a multi-million-dollar industry. I'm a pulley who was injured under his care. Yet what did he do? Make me sit there injured until he decided to take me home and then left it to deal with my parents. Because he probably figured like, well, if she's too injured, she just won't be joining the Marine Corps. At the time, I'm playing sports in high school. I'm 17 years old. I'm young. And this nigga left me high and dry with a dislocated shoulder. You know what I'm saying? It didn't even decide, like, let me take you to the hospital or anything. And the Marine Corps actually has the funding. So if the Marine Corps can sneak and do some slick junk like that, what makes you think Baller's Life can't? You see what I'm saying? Lord have mercy. So if y'all don't take nothing away from this long motherfucking live video, man, take away this. Advocate for yourself. Value your own life, because at the end of the day, don't nobody value your life. They don't care about you. You are just a dollar sign to them. You are expendable because you're here today and you're gone tomorrow. You will be replaced. Do not be fooled. You will be replaced, okay? Don't think you won't, because you will. Value yourself and advocate for yourself. And as this basketball space grows, I encourage y'all not only to advocate for yourself, but also to advocate for others. Don't feel ashamed. Don't feel guilt. When it comes to asking people questions, ask people questions. People that, other players, people that are dealing with the same stuff that you dealing with. Because at the end of the day, I learned working out in the civilian sector and serving in the military that it's intentional, or it's intentionally devised where they promote people to not communicate with one another and get all ideas and some information from one another, right? This is why I tell you to talk to people, because what a joker may not tell you that is in management, somebody who in the same position as you may have experienced something similar, and even though it may not have worked for them, they gained enough insight to be able to help you and be like, well, this is what I did and this is how it worked out for me, and now you could do whatever you feel is necessary for you. That's literally how we do better out here. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to talk to people, because at the end of the day, like I said, we are all expendable. They don't care about you any more than they care about me. Advocate for yourself. And remember, if you're going to put yourself into any space, remember that some of these platforms, especially sports platform, anything with entertainment, there's residuals. So don't always just think about immediate gratification, okay? I know it may be nice to get a couple $100 or a couple $1,000 or a couple $10,000 or what have you, right then and there. But imagine, take it from Serena Williams' daddy. Imagine if you hold out and you value yourself and make them people pay you what you worth, you'll find that sometimes it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times what they was offering you in the beginning, because they was just trying to get you anything. Get your residuals, man. I love y'all. God bless and peace.